This is Christine with Shortcut to Happiness from the Conscious Life Expo 2020. We are here with...
This is Dr. Raymond Keller, author of Venus Rising, A Concise History of the Second Planet.
He actually has 3 books that we will be getting into a little more detail. The first thing I want to cover, though, is based on your knowledge, and you seem like a really brilliant scientist. But what do you think is the key or the secret to happiness?
I take my cues from the master teacher, Jesus the Christ, who taught that in order to find your life, you have to lose it. And we do this by pouring ourselves out into the things that mean the most to us. We follow our passions. The Greeks had a word, the ancient Greeks had a word for it, which is kenosis.
Do you think that most people actually follow their passions, or are they doing something else?
I think most people are caught up in the system of things. They're caught up in the illusion, the Maya that exists in this world.
I think you're right. So what could they do to change that?
They have to step up their consciousness, their level of understanding, and realize that we're more than the rat race that the world presents us. And in doing so, then you transcend the world.
That is profound, but how do they do that?
They do this by actively engaging their interests. Because when people follow what they like to do, when they follow their interests, then the universe will somehow make a way for them. In their life, they'll notice that there's all kinds of synchronicities that are churning up all around them. This is the way that the universe is telling them, you're going in the right direction.
The universe will conspire to give you what you need and want. All you need to do is ask for it.
Yes, that's very, very profound. Very profound.
So tell us, what is all this Venus stuff?
Well, I believe, as the Reverend Billy Graham had said, that angels and aliens are one of the same. And the nearest planet to our Earth, with intelligent life and much more evolved than our own, is the planet Venus. At its closest approach, it's only 26 million miles away, which in galactic terms is nothing. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump.
I ask you to be open to all possibilities because we just do not know. But there is communication coming, that the possibility there is more out there than we currently have been aware of.
Yes, and here at the Conscious Life Expo, I'm attending with Rob Potter, and we're going to present some of the messages from our brothers and sisters of neighboring planet Venus.
Now, you already released a video a week or 2 ago. What was some of the information that you guys had when the recording in the library took place?
They were asking for a series of questions that they would check with the Queen of Venus, to see Lady Orda, to see if it was appropriate to answer those questions. And a plethora of questions were submitted, but only 8 were selected and approved to be answered by Lady. Yes, by the Queen and her regent, and they went to Lady Aura Raines. She's a commander of a moon base on the far side, the dark side of the moon, called Clarion.
And the answers were approved, so she just read them because they were already approved. It sounds like quite a chain of command going on there.
Oh yes. When it comes to the position of being selected as an emissary to deliver a message, it has to be exact.
So I do not exactly duplicate your part in all of this.
I'm essentially the Venus historian. This is my last incarnation on the Earth plane. I'm a survivor of open heart surgery and in the Pittsburgh VA hospital back in 2015 when I was writing the Venus book. And during that time, I was offered, they took my heart out of my body and they were working on it on a table while they put me on artificial life support for 8 hours. And while I was out, my soul ascended to a platform in space, to a ship in space, high above the Earth. I was first very dizzy because it was a circular ring, and there was nothing below me, nothing on the side, nothing up above, just this ring of light because the whole ship had been transparent. And then there was kind of a flickering image of a being who identified himself as my oversoul. And then he appeared to me in the dress of many incarnations and explained that these were my 13 incarnations on the Earth plane, and that this was my last incarnation, and that he was giving me a choice to go with him to return home to my home on Venus.
He's so lucky.
To come back to Earth and finish the Venus Rising trilogy. So
you came back.
I selected to come back because that's been my life's work. I'll show you an article that appeared about me over 50 years ago in the National Enquirer.
Wow.
This is in my second book, The Final Countdown Rockets to Venus. And that's me as a teenager with Lady Orda, the Queen.
Oh, wow.
Here's me with holding a photo of a flying saucer that was similar to the one that my friend and I had seen coming back from a scout campout. It was hovering about 1,000 feet above a railroad trestle in Walton Hills, Ohio. We began publishing this newsletter in the mid-1960s called the Flying Saucer Report. And we worked with Jean Duplantier of Saucer Space and Science in Canada, as well as with Gray Barker of Saucerian Press in Clarksburg, West Virginia, Coral and Jim Lorenzen of the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, and many, many others in the early UFO field. The introduction to my book, Venus Rising, was written by Dr. Leo Sprinkle of the University of Wyoming. And he was a consultant for Coral and Jim Lorenzen of the famous APRO group. And at 3910 East Kleinedale Road in Tucson, Arizona.
A lot of things happen in Tucson and Arizona.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, I do own some land in Dadle, New Mexico. I own 5 acres of land on top of Horse Mountain, right on the Continental Divide. It used to be a hideout for Chief Crazy Horse and the Apaches. And,
nice.
And I used to take people on tours to Mount Shasta, to an area outside the perimeter of Area 51 by the Black Mailbox.
No one can get in there.
No, even back then in the 1980s. And then to my land, which is overlooking the Very Large Array. When they made that movie called Contact with Jodie Foster,
wormhole.
You could see in the final scenes of the movie when she's sitting by the base of the radio telescope and the camera pans off to the mountains in the distance.
Your land?
That's my land there, Horse Mountain.
Nice. So what do you guys hope to achieve with the release of this information?
I want to crack the vast Venus conspiracy because look at the facts. We have 4 nations on Earth that have sent probes to Venus. The United States, Russia, Japan, and the European Union. They've sent a total of 44 space probes to our sister planet, and that is even more than the moon or any other body in space. So if NASA, which I call NASA, never a straight answer, if they're really telling the truth, then why would they, if Venus is the dead, lifeless world they say it is, then why are they spending all of our money and all of their time trying to look for life out there? Now, in my books, I explore the Project White Stork, which was our attempt by the Air Force and the government to monitor the Soviet Union in the mid-1960s, where they were looking for intelligent life in the universe, but particularly on Venus with their Venera probes. And I concisely prove that they knew a lot more than they're ever letting on to today.
Oh, they know a lot more. Even the Canadian Prime Minister or something of defense.
Oh yes, that was Paul Hellyer, and I write about him in the first part of Cosmic Ray's Excellent Venus Adventure. Paul Hellyer was the Minister of Defense in Canada during the early 60s, during the Pearson administration from 1960 to 1964. And so he was the liaison with NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And he said that he was privy to information that there are at least 80 extraterrestrial species operating here on the Earth.
I thought there was 120, but who's counting?
And, well, he said that about 20% of them had ulterior motives, that they were rogue factions, but that 80% of them were actually operating in the light for the benefit of humankind, and that this other 80% had the 20% in check.
I just want to put a personal note that people love the Palladians, but I do not trust 100% of them. So just judge each individual.
Well, in the Pleiades star cluster, there's 250 stars, which are suns just like our own, and there are countless worlds in that section. So the Pleiades have their own federation and alliances, and on the planet Venus, it is the main planet in our local arm of the spiral arm of the galaxy, and it consists of 51 star systems with 601 planets.
Wow. Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Pleiadians, while they work with them from time to time, they aren't members of that particular federation.
And you wonder why.
Well, they do work with them from time to time, but any time that interlopers enter our solar system, or visitors from other star systems that are non-allied, they must get the clearance of the Venusian Science Council to do such things.
So one more question. How did you and Rob connect?
I came to his conference in Mount Shasta along with Frank Chile, George Filer from Famous Filer's Files and MUFON, my friend Omnek Onek, and others connected with the planet Venus on an intimate level. The name of the conference was From Venus with Love, and we're going to have another such conference this summer. It'll be July 26th through the 30th. So you all come out there and visit us.
That sounds awesome.
I'm coming all the way out there from my home in West Virginia.
Nice, nice. Well, this is Christine with Shortcut to Happiness. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. I enjoy being with you.